So let's talk about The Witching season on Amazon Prime. Now, here's a tip for all you up-and-coming horror filmmakers. I'm not saying don't make a good movie at all. Please do. But if you want to sell your movie, one of the first things you're going to need is an awesome poster. Okay? Us horror fans do judge a book by its cover. It is what grabs our attention. There's so much horror out there, like especially low budget stuff. We don't know what to watch. It's overwhelming. You go on Amazon Prime, Shudder, whatever. You can look for hours at hundreds and thousands of titles, and it really truly is overwhelming. And what catches our eye for the most part is cool cover art, because we feel like, and this might just be me personally, but I feel like if people put in that effort, then maybe they put in more effort into their film. I don't know. It grabs us. And I think it really might actually go back to our childhood, because that's literally all we had to go on when we were kids in the video stores. When I was walking down the aisles in the horror section, and we got these incredibly cool cover art that we used to get back then. And it was what drew us to those films. You know, I've mentioned plenty of covers. I actually would love to do a video. That actually reminds me, I do want to do a video on my favorite VHS covers back in the day. But there were some that just, you saw it and you're like, I got to see this movie. I don't give a fuck what it's about. Look at that cover. It's amazing. And this poster is awesome. I love the poster for this. Now, this is an anthology series on Amazon Prime. They're shorts, each one. So the whole thing, the whole season is 5 episodes, and it makes up about 80 minutes of footage. So it could just be an anthology film. This way, they just didn't have to do a wraparound and tie them all together. So, you know, let's get into it, shall we? Now, I am going to talk spoilers for the episodes, but before I do, I guess I'll just give a quick yay or nay. I think that if you like YouTube shorts, you know, like something like, Lights Out, when that was popular and got a ton of attention, and there's plenty of other ones. I remember the movie All Hallows Eve was made up of really good YouTube shorts. And this is basically that, except for it's about the same budget as something like the former Lights Out, the original short. So if you're into that kind of stuff, I think it's worth a watch. And I would definitely say that if you're not into it after like a couple of these, I don't think you're going to be into it. Although I will say that I think the best one, which is the longest one, is episode 4. And it's a 30-minute one. And I don't know, it just works the best for me. So if you're going to check out any of them, check that one out. But anyway, let's get into these. Now, episode 1, which is about 17 minutes. Freaking bug flying in my face. That's fun. Actually, something I want to talk about really quick is the opening title and credits, because we get one for each one of these episodes, same one. I like it. I like the music a lot, and I also like just the images that are shown. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that opening in Halloween 4, which is an excellent opening. It steers away from the pumpkin theme that they had going on in 1, 2, and 3, and then they brought it back for 5. I hate the one in 5, but in 4 we do get a close-up on a pumpkin and a pumpkin patch, but it goes for more of that autumn feel, you know, during October, and I just love it. The scarecrow and the old farming equipment. I'll get into that in my Halloween 4 review, which I'd like to do pretty soon, but it just reminded me of that, and anytime you remind me of that, it's a great thing. This one gets right into the action instantly. And a girl is being chased. It's fairly uneventful to talk about. I mean, it's really just mood, and tension, and atmosphere, and then it's over, and there's a twist. And the twist, I don't know how I feel about the twist. It's something that maybe if I watched a couple times, I would appreciate more. But the first viewing, which was this one, it was kind of like, huh? Like, why didn't anyone, like, why wasn't he, was he looking for his, like, wife and, or his girlfriend? I don't know who she was. I think it was his wife. Doesn't matter. But was he playing a game with her? Why was he outside first? Why was he chasing? Was he chasing her because he wanted to kill her? No, because he sees his wife's dead and then she kills him. So I'm not sure what he was doing, why she was running from him and all that. So I don't really feel like it makes all that much sense. Because I've written a script similar-ish to this where the person who's being chased ends up being the killer. But I'm not trying to compare mine, be like, mine's better. But I give a really valid reason, and it like hits, and you're like, oh shit, like this is the asshole, not the person chasing him. And I feel like that's what they were going for, like the whoa, like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And while I didn't see it coming, it just wasn't impactful because there was no dialogue except for what's on the television to tell us that she's an escaped lunatic. But it just didn't make all that much sense to me. As I said, maybe on a future viewing, if I was to ever go back and rewatch this, I'd be like, oh, okay, they do point this one little thing out that I missed, and now it kind of makes sense. But anyway, God, I have such bad allergies today, and I'm trying not to look gross, but my nose itches. So I'm scratching the outside, though, not the inside. So I don't want to hear any comments that I've been, like, picking my nose on screen. Anyway. Now, moving on to episode 2, another itch. This one is a creepy doll, and it borrows from Child's Play, which I think that's just kind of to be expected, especially from like a horror fan like this. The cover art's very 80s. The guy wrote and directed like every episode. So the homages to Child's Play is here, and I'm fine with it. But you would just think in a short that they could be completely original, and they wouldn't have to really do many homages, if any, because it's not like you're stretching out a 90-minute film and you have tons of time to play around with. So you're like, oh, what can I do here? Like, oh, how about we throw in an homage? It's like, it's only 17 minutes long. Like, you can come up with all original material here, can't you? But I didn't mind it, as I said. I just think that they could have. The mask from the first one, which I didn't really mention, the mask of the guy's wearing, which is this like Dollar Tree Jason Voorhees hockey mask. And I was just kind of like, wow, that looks pretty bad. But, I mean, I get it. It's super low budget. And it was a Friday the 13th homage. So, same kind of opinion on that as well. But it makes an appearance here on the infomercial that she's watching. And I actually thought the infomercial, in fact, all the TV spots within this film were actually really funny. Like, I laughed a couple times. The guy with the knife, and he cuts the thing in half and he slices it really thin. And he's like, man, that's so thin you could make a piece of lingerie out of it. And then like he's like, look, this knife is so sharp. Like something with his friend, like it cuts the assholes out of your life or something. It was funny. It was good dialogue. I thought that was really good. That was probably like the director or his buddy or something. Like I can almost guarantee that was the director himself doing that. Probably wasn't. Now that I said it, it isn't. But it just seemed like something that a director would do. And the kid gets the creepy doll up in the attic. She finds it. She wants to keep it. Her mom's like, no. I liked her mom in this. I thought she was a fairly good actress and she's pretty cute, so I liked her. And the kid was good too. So, I liked the acting at least in this. And, when the doll tries to kill her mom in her sleep. And the kid comes in and like saves her mom last second, pulls it back. And then she goes and throws it down in the room, and the doll's coming at her, and she just takes one swipe with that knife that's on the infomercial. I mean, they set it up perfectly. This thing can cut through anything. It's a play on the Ginsu knives, which is a great scene from Scrooged with Bill Murray. Yeah, it'll cut a tin can like a tomato. I love that movie. But like, yeah, she cuts the doll's head off in one swipe, which I actually thought was funny for like half a second. And I was like, oh yeah, they set that up in the infomercial that it would cut through. But then she throws out in the trash, and she goes and lays down with her mom, and the second doll comes to life, which I thought was cool. It's kind of just like spirit enters the next doll, and it's like that whole house is filled with a bunch of random dolls, and it's just not this creepy doll. Like, it's not the doll. There's some entity that's able to take over dolls, or they're all, you know, possessed with different entities of some sort, and they can all move like a puppet master. But for some reason, I took it as she defeated one, and it moved on to the next, and this one was a big old bear. How it's able to, like, grip a knife. It has no weight to it, so it couldn't really push, like, a pillow on you or smother you or anything. And how would it grab a pillow? So in reality, I mean, it's hard to talk about reality when you're talking about something so far-fetched, but a stuffed animal that has no, you know, fingers or thumbs, or I don't know, it's just like, what could he really do? I mean, what could a fucking stuffed bear do to you? He wouldn't have enough weight to push anything over on you. He wouldn't have, like, what could he do? He could, like, lay down in front of you and hope you trip onto a knife that you couldn't really put there. So yeah, I don't know. It's creepy in the moment, but when you start to think about it, you're like, I don't think that he could hurt me. Anyway, moving on to the third episode. This episode features a Edward Scissorhands shadow. That's what it looked like to me. It was creepy, and it like sat there, and I like that it, you know, took its time and built the scene, and the thing just was like really still, and then it just like slightly moved its fingers, almost like it was Edward Scissorhands, like chink. That was bad freaking scissor sound, but whatever. I'm not the dude from Police Academy, okay? But I liked it. I liked the subtleness of it. It wasn't like it was like, you know, coming at him. So I liked that. I thought it was effective. And then he comes in the bed and the guy disappears. It's pretty quick. I think this one's only like 8 minutes long. But I liked it. It was very, very reminiscent of Lights Out. In fact, that's why I mentioned Lights Out as the short. If you like that, then you might like something like this, because this one, for me, felt very, very similar. A little too similar, to be honest, but still enjoyed it. Now, getting on to episode 4, the one that I said that I enjoyed the most. Now, I didn't see it, but I have no doubt that like one of the dolls or something was in this episode, because in the 5th episode, the Booth House, which is in episode 4, is mentioned. So I think from like concurrently through these episodes, like the last episode that was before it is mentioned in some way or another. I just didn't see it, but I'm guessing that there was a doll. I'll probably, you know, if I was to ever go back and rewatch it, I'd be like, oh shit, there's that doll. See, there it is. I'm sure it's here. I just honestly, I was writing and I might have just missed it, but it's probably here. And same thing here. I don't know what could have came over from this episode from the last one, but as I said, it might be here. I just might have missed it. Or I'm crazy and it's just not in here, and these are the only connections, the ones that I caught. It's possible. I just looked down for a long time, and I wasn't really doing anything. I was just reading the same word over and over again for no reason. Anyway, now I really liked because I write screenplays, and I write horror stories, and I write novels, horror novels, and all sorts of stuff. And watching this guy kind of give different iterations to his creative mind, and he's like typing it out, and we're seeing the scene play out as he sees it in his head. Especially the first one. The first one actually really made me laugh, because I figured out where they were going to go for the rest of the episode, and I was like, oh, I really like this idea. And the first one, you know, he's got the girl, she's out in the woods, very typical, standard fare. And I think that's kind of why he scraps it in addition to the ending of it, which I'm about to say. But, you know, he goes and she's in the tent, and the killer pops up and he's like, knife to meet you. And then he like looks at the line, like, because in the thing it's cheesy, and you're like, man, that was bad. And then it like immediately like hard cuts to his computer and shows "knife to meet you" and the killer saying it, and he just stares at it and he like immediately deletes it. And God, any writer can relate to this. There's so many times where I've written the dumbest, corniest shit, and I just throw it down. I'm like in a heat of passion, and I'm really just typing and hacking away, and I'll write something down, and I'll go back and I'll like reread it, and I'll be like, "Wow, that was bad. Like, what? That's a terrible pun. That doesn't work. What is this? Fucking Freddy's dead? Jesus Christ." Killer graphics. So yeah, I really, and then I love on his list of monsters, because he has like a whole laundry list of monsters that he wants to utilize for this script. Script idea. He's gonna try every different one of them, but he's like has them all in order of I don't know, maybe like top, because the first couple are like the obvious, like vampires, werewolf stuff, and then as it goes down, it maybe gets a little more obscure. I don't know. I didn't get to look at the list so on, but that's kind of the way it looked. But one of them was a freaking flying spaghetti monster. I laughed out loud when I saw that on the list, because it's like doesn't fit all the rest, and I think that was just like in a fit. Like as you're writing, you do want to entertain yourself a little bit and throw down, like fucking naked cowboy covered in grease or something. Wait, or is that my fantasies? Yeah, so and then he cuts to the next one, I think, which is the clown at the amusement park, and there's this horrible song that keeps playing. I don't know if it's in this one or the next one, but it's like, I drove my truck. That's what I was hearing. I'm not really great with lyrics. Mother of my kids always makes fun of me because I think lyrics are something and I'm singing them, and then she's like, "What'd you say?" And I was like, "I don't want to tell you." I don't want to tell you, because you always tell me I'm wrong. And then I look them up, which I just never do. But when I do, I'm like, that's what he said? Oh my God, I've been singing it this way for years, not even close. But it sounded like I drove my truck, and it's like repetitive. Oh, it's bad. Reminded me, I just watched The Room last night and The Disaster Artist back to back. That's why I had no videos last night. And there's a song in there where this chick just says this line over and over in a song, and you're like, why is this in here? It's so bad. Why does this song exist? And the ending, I really liked the ending of this episode. The narration that he gives about, how spirits are made to relive what they've done. Like if they've done terrible things, they have to relive it until they can accept it. And he's basically saying he never will, and that's why he's still there, and that's why he lives inside of us. Like he's never ever going anywhere, because he can't accept what he did to his wife. And he's like creating all different kinds of scenarios for how she died, like trying to push the blame off onto all these other monsters, like a vampire or a werewolf or a flying spaghetti monster or a greased up cowboy or whatever. Like that's how he deals with his guilt, and he just won't accept it, and he's just going to continue to keep perpetually living this nightmare forever. I mean, eventually probably give it up, but for the ending of the episode, it sounded good. So I really liked that narration. And that's a 30-minute episode, so that's the longest one. And then moving on to the last and final episode, which was 11 minutes. So it was like a big, drastic cut of time. The girl's watching TV, and her mom comes up and scares her, which I thought was awesome. Like that it was her mom scaring her, not the other way around. And then her mom's like, if your friend doesn't show up, maybe we can just watch horror movies together. And I was like, oh man, why didn't I have a mom like that? Like, that's the coolest mom ever. That's the mom I want. Sneaking up and fucking scaring me and asking me to watch horror movies with her. How awesome. But for some reason, I'm not exactly sure, because this isn't the greatest joke by any means, but when the guy on TV is like, he's doing his, Elvira fucking host, ghoul host kind of thing, the host with the most, babe, he calls himself Count Spookula, and I don't know if it's just because it's so lazy. I don't know what it was, but I laughed for like a good 20 seconds at that name when he said it. Not sure why, but hey, fuck it, doesn't matter, right? It brought me a bunch of joy for 20 seconds, so who am I to question why? And then it goes on, and this creature gets in the house and attacks her mom. And then at the end, it attacks and I'm guessing kills her. And when we see it, it looks kind of like her mom. So I don't know if like this entity took over her mother's appearance, and maybe when it kills her, it'll take over hers, and so on and so forth. I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but it looked like her mom. It was a female figure, and it looked a lot like her mom. So I don't know what that was getting at, but I like the look of it. I really liked the look of the creepy thing. And then it totally switches to the wreck, the Spanish found footage record wreck movie ending where the girl gets pulled out of frame, just slide. I mean, I was like, come on. Come on. That's just blatant. But I did like how her lights go out in her room, and she like immediately like flips on her phone and like pulls up the flashlight on it, and her door's just open. I thought that was really cool. Just the way it was cut together, it looked creepy. Like that door was closed a second ago. She pulled out the flashlight, and bam, it's already open, and there's nothing there. And she's like looking around the room, and then it's behind her. It was good. It was just a good like quick 10-second sequence, because I think horror is very effective in shorts, because tension is very hard to build, and it's incredibly hard to hold and then to climax. Wait, I'm not talking about sex, I promise. Maybe both. They're both great. And great horror and great sex. Very similar concepts. All right, guys, The Witching season. Have you watched it? I hope if you've watched all this, then you have. Which was your favorite? Did you hate them all? Did you even watch more than one? Whatever. Yeah, let me know. And if for some reason you just watched this because you wanted to, and you're going to check it out anyway, go ahead and then come back and let me know. All right, I ramble a lot at the end because I never know how to end these motherfuckers.